Hi everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world. Today is Tuesday, August 30th, and this is Flosstube number 99. We are almost to 100, and no, I have not planned anything at all for Flosstube 100. I'll have to think about that, see if I can come up with something. So I've got not too much to show, but I've got some good stuff to show today. So I think this will be a short one because well, we'll see. Okay, so the big thing is I have a new release. So I design under Hemlock Rye Stitchery. I will of course link that down below. My patterns are available on a website called Gumroad. It's sort of like Etsy, but the fees are a little less, what's the word, severe as Etsy. So Gumroad is a unique structure in that it just gives a little more flexibility than Etsy. But you can pay with PayPal or like put your your credit card information in, and then as soon as you submit the payment, you immediately get the download link for a PDF file. So all of my patterns are on Gumroad under Hemlock Rye, and I will link that down below. And I have a new reproduction sampler, antique reproduction sampler for you all. Just like my last one, which was Thurza Priscilla Dawes 1870, which was my first reproduction sampler, I have charted this sampler in two colorways, one matching the faded colors that you'll see on the front of the sampler, and then one matching the more vibrant, bright colors that were on the back that haven't been exposed to direct sunlight or dirt, smoke, pollution. Basically, this sampler was framed and the back was really well protected because of the framing. So it wasn't framed well. It was not framed well. We'll talk about that in a second. Let me show you the sampler. So again, I've got two colorways for this one. And I'm calling this the Neapolitan sampler, and we'll talk about that as well in a minute. So here it is. Let me talk about, so this is the faded front colorway, and then this is the colors that I pulled from the back of the sampler. And I've stitched these on different counts. This is 32 count, and this is 36 count. So let's talk about this one first. One thing I do need to address really quickly, the framing. I had an issue with the frames I ordered for these samplers. So I ordered from a website I've used before, the same website I used for Thurza Priscilla Dawes, which they sent me perfect frames for both of those. This time they messed up a little bit. So I measured, from border to border and then added a 1/4 inch. I like a pretty tight frame, so I like a 1/4 inch all around. What they did was, instead of cutting the opening to that, they actually cut the back to that size, and then there's a lip on the back to kind of hold the mount in. So I lost a 1/4 inch all around. So I am calling them today, and hopefully they'll be sending me new frames. I'm gonna have to relace and re-stretch these. I didn't stretch these really tight. I did them kind of loose because I know they're going to need to be redone. But I am leaving for Europe next week, and I just wanted to get these out. I wanted to get these out for Sampler September. So I had to make do. So I know these are framed really, really tightly, but they will be redone, and you can still kind of I actually don't hate the tight frame. It's just this one's a little too tight. So there is a single solitary red line of red stitches around the entire thing, and that gets a little bit lost with this frame. I did a ton of matte, what do you call it? Batting. Could not think of that word. I did a ton of batting to try to cheat it a little bit, so that's why this one's really poofy, and I think it's kind of cute that way actually. But anyway, this is the front colorway. So this is stitched with DMC floss. Not as many colors as there's the Priscilla Dawes. I think we have 14 DMC colors in this one. This is a 32 count R&R Reproductions linen in the color Stars Hollow blend. Just a very simple, neutral, you know, aged kind of color, not mottled, just a solid color. Really, you could probably find a lot of fabrics that would work well for this. I think a little modeling would be nice, but I really just wanted to show off the colors. So stitched with DMC, and the sampler, I don't know who stitched it because we don't have a name. We have initials EKL, and we have 1866 and 1877. So I assume maybe birth date, year stitched. It might have been stitched by an 11-year-old girl, but really just no way to know. But I'm guessing stitched in 1877. The original is stitched with wool threads on like a canvas linen. So what else do we need to say? Oh, they're just like some fun features. So the reason I called this the Neapolitan sampler is because this motif here reminded me of Neapolitan ice cream. It's I believe a berry bowl, but it kind of had like an ice cream sundae look to me. There's some really fun features here. So there's 3 goofy birds. There is a monkey. There is a castle. I believe it's a castle. It also might be Solomon's Temple, which was a really popular motif at the time. So probably it's actually Solomon's Temple, but it looks like a castle. Just some fun little motifs in here. And the border actually went like surprisingly fast. It's not a really tedious border. This stitched quick. I stitched this in about a week. It was really fun to stitch. I don't have the stitch count right in front of me, and I do apologize. I should have looked that up before I started filming. But it's not a large sampler. This is 32 count and it's not that big. But here is the front version. Let me show you the back version and how different these colors are. So like I said, this one is on 36 count linen, and this one, the frame worked a little bit better. We're still tight, but I didn't have to puff it out to get that red to show. So this is 36 count Fox and Rabbit linen in the color Baked Clay, which is just a beautiful neutral color that's got a little bit of like a gray and a reddish tone to it. And this is also stitched with DMC. So you can see it's just much brighter, much more vibrant. Some of the colors, you know, like reds don't tend to fade a whole lot, but blues do tend to fade quite a bit. So it's very interesting to see where some of the fading comes through. And let me show you the original sampler so you can kind of compare these colors. I think I match, you know, I always do a very thorough matching with my DMC. I have the whole DMC set. I grab colors and compare. I think I did a really good job on matching this one, but these 2 browns gave me a lot of trouble, so I did the best I could. But here's the original sampler. So I was talking about the original sampler was framed in a very interesting way. It had a nice frame. I actually really liked the frame. But the original sampler was also framed extremely tightly to the detriment of the sampler. They actually, whoever had framed it actually glued on top of the stitching. I think it probably had been, initially it had been glued on the back, and then maybe there was some sag or something and they had gone in and touched it up. And they did that by gluing like along the border into the frame. So removing this from the frame, I was very annoyed because it was impossible to get it out without damaging it. It was already damaged, but then getting the glue off, it just, you know, it kind of shredded this outer border. But I did the best I could and tried to preserve it. But yeah, it did get damaged, but not to the point where I couldn't chart it because it was just a solid line of red stitching around the edge. So this was the front colors. So I think these, and I do apologize, I can't see my frame, so hopefully these are both in frame. and you can see them. I think most of the colors I got like pretty spot on, but I did struggle with these two colors here. So this is two different browns. And DMC just doesn't have quite an exact match there. And I just got as close as I could. Now let me show you the back because I was really surprised. So I bought this sampler because of what I saw here on the front. And I liked the pastel. I liked the monkey, the little monkey like got me right away. And I liked this tree, this funky tree. I like the berry bowl, and I like this floral. I mean, I like the whole thing, but that's kind of what drew me in. And then I knew, well, I guess I expected the back would be vibrant and fun. I had no idea what we were getting into back here. When I pulled this out of the frame, I was just completely shocked. So, like I said, I think this had been framed pretty early on, and so the colors on the back I think are preserved really, really well. There's probably still been some fading, some browning, but I think this is really close to how it might have looked originally. And so you can see the reddish, what is brown on the front is actually burgundy on the back. I was really surprised to see that difference there. The rest kind of made sense. Like, oh, okay, this is a brighter blue, a lighter blue, you know, a brighter green, a lighter green. That all kind of stayed in the tone, but I was surprised by the burgundy and then just being a cocoa brown on the front. Anyway, so I pulled this out and I thought, I honestly wasn't sure how these colors were working together. You can see she carried her floss and it's not a tidy back. And so it's really hard to kind of get a feel for how this actually would look stitched in these colors. So as I started charting this and preparing to stitch it, I actually didn't know if I would stitch the back, the back colorway, because I knew the front was going to be great. I just couldn't quite picture how the back was going to look. And I thought, I don't know how these colors are working together. And I don't know if they are working together. So after I charted the front and started stitching it, I got my DMC back out and I charted the colors on the back. And then I was able to finally see it come together. So in my design software, which I use Max Stitch, you can see, you know, like a mock-up. And so I was able to put these colors in, but then see a mock-up of, you know, how this looks on the front, but with those colors. And I then got really excited because I said, oh, I don't hate that. I don't hate that. And so when I did the mock-up and I saw it looked more like this, then I was really excited. And I actually ended up really loving this. This is my favorite version for sure. I was very skeptical, wasn't sure I was going to like it, but very much love how this bright colorway turned out. And these colors, actually, I think I was able to match the alphabet much better and was a little bit happier with that as well. So actually I was very happy with how I matched. When you're trying to match colors on an antique sampler, you can get really frustrated. DMC has 500 something colors, a ton of colors, but you'll just realize like, but they don't have just that right orange, or the reds. I really struggle with the reds. As many reds as DMC has, they really don't have many dark reds. Everything's kind of this mid-tone red, and it's hard to get that darker red. So anyway, I was able to match this one pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. So there are the comparisons there. So this is the Neapolitan sampler, and if you would like to get this chart, you're going to get both versions. So you can pick which one you want to stitch, or you can stitch both. So both of these took just a little over a week to stitch. Of course, I do have maybe more stitching time than some. So, but I still think these are stitchable in a couple of weeks. So if you'd like to stitch these for sampler September, you know, this could be a good option. It's not a large chart. And it stitches up really quick. There's not a lot of dense stitching. So anyway, I'm so happy with how these turned out. This is the Neapolitan sampler in 2 colorways. If you'd like this chart, just go to the Gumroad link below and you can purchase it there. I actually have another reproduction sampler that I have charted, and I'm probably going to start stitching tonight, and I'm really excited about it. I've acquired, I think I might have like 6 samplers that I want to chart. Not all of them will be charted in 2 colorways. When it makes sense to do so, yes, I will, but it doesn't always make sense to do so. Sometimes the back is just not that different. So right now, I've got, the next one I'm doing should just be in 1 colorway, but I do have a few where I might have 2 colorways again, and I really have a good time doing that. And I don't think a lot of designers do that. I think most just they pick one or the other, like they pick the front or they pick the back and they base their colors off that. I'm having a lot of fun doing both, and I think it gives you a little more value. If you purchase the chart, you get 2 colorways there, and it's really fun to see what people pick, what they're drawn to. With Thurza, I think, you know, it's pretty, I've seen a pretty even split between people stitching both versions. So anyway, that is my new release. It is called the Neapolitan Sampler, and I would love to see pictures if anyone decides to stitch that. I love seeing these out in the wild. It's really, really fun for me to chart these samplers and to pick colors. It's really fun. I do want to get back to some original designs, but I just, like, I'm a little bit like obsessed right now with these antique samplers, but I do want to also like continue to design my own unique things. So anyway, previous finishes. So what I finished about a year ago, I will insert pictures because I don't have this stuff with me. It's in storage. That reminds me, I didn't even tell you guys, I am back in Colorado. I'm in Loveland, Colorado right now. That is north, is like maybe 30-40 minutes north of Boulder. So we got in Sunday. So I'm back in Colorado. In a couple days, we'll be going back down south, to the suburbs of Boulder, Denver, and dog sitting for a friend before we head to the UK for 3 weeks. So, just an update, back in Colorado. So I really am Kansas City girl in a Colorado world again. I hope to film video updates of our time in the UK. We're going to London, and then we're heading up to Scotland, and then we're heading to Ireland, and then we're heading back to London. So hopefully we'll be seeing a lot of things. So previous finishes. Okay. A year ago, I stitched Park Hopper Bart, a chart called Favorite Color, and I stitched it twice for two friends. So one of them, their favorite color was 3371. So just a quick video to show you this finish I did. This is Park Hopper Bart's chart, which you can get on his Gumroad, and I think it's called Favorite Color. And I stitched this with 3371 DMC Etoile, so there is some sparkle to it. I finished it as just a little pillow. This was some fabric I had in stash, scrap fabric, and I did the recycled silk sari trim. This is, you can get this at yarn shops, not every yarn shop maybe, but I've seen it at a couple. It's just it's very popular as like a natural fiber for knitters to use, and it's just recycled silk sari, and I just twist it and then stitch it down. And this was it's a really fun way to finish things. So there's the finish that I sent to Victor. And the other one was 3807, I believe. You're seeing a picture now, but I don't have it in front of me. So this chart is really cool because it's a small chart. It's a really fast stitch. Bart includes all the numbers so that you can customize it to your favorite color or your friend's favorite color. It's a fun chart to stitch for a friend. So I stitched that twice. And then the other previous finish I have was, I can't believe it was a year ago. Liz Matthews from Hello from Liz Matthews, who's one of my favorite designers. I just love like everything. Her and her mother, Kathy Barrick, like can do no wrong in my eyes. I want every single chart they release, like every single one. Some I of course love more than others, but I love everything they release. So anyway, Liz Matthews had reached out to several like Flosstube friends, just stitchy friends, and said, do you want to do a little collaboration with me? So she had created a chart, and as she was designing it, she realized it could be really fun to just do all different colorways with the chart. And she had this idea of like, wait, I'm going to ask my friends to come up with their own colorways. So the chart is called After the Rain. Hey, buddy. And so I'll put a picture in of like Liz's original with her colorway. And then she just like gave her friends, one of them being me, free reign, like just make your own palette, like just pick some colors, whatever you think. And so I had a thought that the DMC colors that are below like 30, 35, I think those colors are really interesting to me, but I don't see them like used in designs very often because they're the newer colors, although they're now several years old. So, and I love them. They're these beautiful pastels. Okay, do you want to get down now? So, but I own them and I love them, but I don't have occasion to use them very often because nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of designers don't chart with them that often. So I grabbed those and I made my palette out of those. And so I made this kind of pastel, and it kind of reminded me of chalk, like the pastel chalk for sidewalk chalk. So I think I called mine rainbow chalk, I think is what I called my palette. So this is what I came up with. If you get the chart from Liz, she has included the palette, the palettes of like all there. I don't even know how many there were, maybe 6 or 7, maybe different colorways like that you could do. So you can get that from Liz at Hello from Liz Matthews. And that was a really fun collaboration. Okay, so what have I finished since last video? Well, last video I had finished the stitching for my Halloween Smalls exchange, but I hadn't fully finished it. So I have fully finished that and it's getting sent out tomorrow. So my partner doesn't know who they are. They may watch this video, they may not. But they don't know they're getting this until it arrives in the mail. So this was Calico Confectioner. The designer is Calico Confectionery. I got it on Etsy. The chart is called Wicked. It came with this chart and another chart. I stitched this on a 32 count Fortnite Fabrics in the color Fright Night. It was like a limited edition from a Halloween box. I don't think you can get it. It's like an orange and gray and black. And I stitched this with DMC 310 and DMC Light Effects, which are these neon, the neon yellow and green. And then I have this spider web fabric, quilting fabric on the back. And then I used hand spun wool yarn that I got at a yarn shop in Moab. And I used that as the trim. So here is my Halloween small that I'm going to be sending to my friend, who I will not tell you because they might see this. So, I also finished M. Kissa Creations Lobster Catch Biscornu, but I didn't make it a Biscornu yet. But I did finish it, so it's ready to be made into a Biscornu soon. Someday soon. This is a 14 count Ada that I dyed myself, and I used her DMC colors. This is Pine Mountain Designs October Typography, and I stitched this for a friend, and I haven't finished it yet, but I'm probably going to finish it after this video. I'll try to remember to take a little video so I can show you all the finish. So it's a kit. It comes with, it doesn't come with the clipboard. I did look up the clipboard. It's Buttermilk Basin. It's Buttermilk Basin. But it comes with the ribbon and the finishing fabric. It comes with everything but the clipboard. And this is my finish. It was a quick 2-day. It took me 2 days. And that's for a friend. Okay. So those are, oh, and then I had one other finish, but it's also for a friend. And I'll just have to take a video. I need to fully finish it today and then send that out tomorrow. So then I'll try to remember to take a video of that to insert in my next video. But because it's a gift and I know that friend will watch, I don't want to show it right now. So, okay. So from that same piece of 14 count Ada that I dyed myself, I started Sailor's Delight by D's 20 Stitches and Uncanny Kari. They collaborate to create these cross stitch patterns. So this is 3 colors of DMC, and I'm stitching this on Ada, and I'm more than half done. So I have the top done. I still have to do the tail down here. I will say, if you're interested in stitching this pattern, obviously it can be stitched on Ada, but what I didn't realize when I picked my fabric is that this pattern does have a lot of fractional stitches, and I mean a lot. And I don't mind that. It's just that when you're doing fractional stitches on Ada, you have to make your own hole because there isn't one, and you kind of have to cheat it or force it sometimes. And so if I had known there were so many fractional stitches, I probably would have done this on like a 32 count linen where I have that built in, you know, half stitch. But it's doable. You can do fractional stitches on Ada. It's certainly not impossible. It just takes a little finesse. And there are a lot. Someone's driving by in a golf cart. There are a lot of fractional stitches. I mean, like every single one of the, I don't think this has fractional, but like, or does it? No, the clouds don't have fractional stitches, but I think everything else does. So it looks so good though. It looks great. So this is a trans merman, and it's called Sailor's Delight, and it's looking really, really good on this fabric, and I'm really excited with how that's turning out. Oh, and I did want to just show, I keep forgetting to talk about this. So my friend Alexis My Amazing World, gave me this needle minder, and this was the prototype. She's actually changed it since then, but she made these cute little pincushion needle minders, and I really, really love this because it's magnetic, but you can also use it like a pincushion. And so sometimes like my needles fall off the needle minder even with the magnet, like especially in travel. So I like the pincushion option for when I really want it secure. If I'm just like setting it down for a little bit, I'll use the magnet, but I like the pincushion for more security on that needle. But she has changed this a little bit. So now I think she has like a bottle cap, and the pincushion sits in the bottle cap. And I know she's been gifting those to people. And I think she might want to sell them at some point, or I don't know if she is yet. But I'll link her down below. So Alexis My Amazing World, if you want to check that out and see if maybe you can message her if you want to buy one. Okay, so my car stitching, my travel project, is a plastic canvas kit from Innocent Bones, and I am getting close to a finish on this. So this has been just a fabulous travel kit, so much so that I will be taking one of these with me to the UK for my vacation, because all I need is this, the pattern, which is just 1 page, and the floss. You don't need a hoop. You don't need a Q-snap. This is flexible and easy to stitch on, but it's got enough structure that you don't need like a hoop for it. And it doesn't have too many colors. I think it's like 5 colors. The pattern's really easy to read. There's quite a lot of fill-in. It like this right here is so I've got the top all filled in with this cream. So like down here I did the outline and now I'm doing fill-in. So you don't have to like stare at the pattern the whole time. I'm outlining the snake right now, so then I can just fill it in. And I really love the designs as well, but also it's just been a great travel piece. So I will be taking one of these. I don't know if I'll have this one finished before I leave, but I'm not going to take this one because it is so close to a finish. So I'm just going to take like a new one. I bought 3 kits from her, so I'm just going to grab one of those and take it with me for my travel project. So that is called Celestial Gothic by Innocent Bones. So then I pulled out my Supernatural Stitch Along by the Witchy Stitcher. I am not fully caught up on this, but I'm almost caught up. So she's taking we're on a 2-week break. So she always takes the last Friday of the month, she takes off and doesn't release a creature. But this is the midway point, so she's actually taking a 2-week break. So the next one will come out like I think September 9th. So I'm almost caught up. There's this is the angel. So once I get this stitched, then I'm all caught up. So other than I don't have the border down at the bottom, I'm doing the border as I go. I actually worked ahead on this border because I could have just gone to like here and stopped, but I went a little further. So anyway, almost caught up on this. This is Supernatural by the Witchy Stitcher, and this is 40 count color and cotton fabric in the color Sweet Tea. And I'm using like all the called for DMCs on this. And these, so the border's pretty intense, but these each week, like these tend to stitch pretty fast, some faster than others. Like I felt like the zombie stitched really quick and the changeling stitched up really quick. The gin wasn't too bad. I feel like these two took me a minute, and this one kind of took a while, but you know, a day or two, they're not bad at all. And then I was just like, I had been wanting to work on this and it wasn't really fitting in my plans, but I kept getting drawn to it. And finally I was like, I'm just getting it out. I'm abandoning my plans and I'm working on what I want. So I got out the Tiny Modernist Zodiac Signs. So this was a stitch along last year, and I've got like bits and pieces done, as you'll see. And I kind of thought like maybe what I'll do is like as each sign comes up, I'll fill them in, but that didn't really happen at the beginning of the year. But it's Virgo season and my girl Alexis had a birthday and I decided I was going to do Virgo in honor of her. So I got this out and I got Virgo done, and the border. The border is pretty time consuming as well. So this is a 14 count Aida that I dyed myself. So it's really big on 14 count Aida. And so I had Leo, Capricorn, and Aquarius done. And so this round, let me just show you. So this round I did Virgo, which I didn't have anything. I didn't have the frame or anything done. So I did all the frame. I did all of this frame over here. And then I did Virgo, which was all the fill-in. So I did change her skin tone. This stitch along actually doesn't use very many colors, but she is a really pale skin tone. And again, I think it's just because the designer didn't want to maybe add a ton of colors to it. Okay, buddy. Shh. Hey, stop. So I did change her skin tone because I felt like it. And I didn't feel up for filling in all that wing. So I just did the darker outline and I thought it looked really cool that way. So I just stopped it there. And if it starts to look weird, I can go back and fill it in, but I think it looks pretty cool like this. so I think she's 3862 or 3864 is the DMC I used for her skin. And I think she came out really pretty. The other change I've made is the border. Instead of using the DMC, I'm using metallics. So my border is very sparkly. I'm using the DMC Diamant or Diamant. It's kind of a pain, but it looks pretty cool. So I was really glad to finally make some progress on that. So those were all of my WIPs, my works in progress. I have some haul. So last week I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, and Salt Lake City and the surrounding like suburbs, they're very rich in cross stitch suppliers. So there are actually four different shops that you can visit in that area that sell cross stitch. Now, I've been to Shepherd's Bush previously. That is very north in Ogden, which is north of Salt Lake City. It's maybe like 30 to 40 minutes away. I'd visited that before, and when we picked up Arlo actually in March. So it was a little bit out of the way this time, so I did not revisit Shepherd's Bush, but it is a wonderful shop, and if you get a chance to go, you absolutely should. So where I did get to go was Pine Needles, which is kind of comes up as like a quilt shop, but they have a ton of cross stitch as well. So they do ton of quilts, ton of cross stitch, gorgeous shop. And then I visited Craft Center of Fine Stitchery, which is just a straight local needlework shop. So I got some things while I was there. So first I went to Pine Needles, and I think, so Pine Needles has all the Pine Mountain kits. I don't know if the owner of the shop is, I don't know if they're like the same or if they just carry all of the Pine Mountain, but Pine Needles, Pine Mountain, I think there's some connection there. They had all the Pine Mountain kits. So I actually got, let me see. Sorry for the crinkle. I got that kit that the finish I showed you. The October typography. I got that from Pine Needles. And then I got these two Pine Mountain kits. So these kits are so great. They're very reasonable. They're like $15 to $20. You get fabric, floss. It comes with the pillow. Like there's a pillow form in here. So you get everything you need for this finish in one kit, and it's under $20. So I got this, this one's called Special Delivery, and then this one is called Boo to You. And they have just, oh my gosh, they have tons. They have some that are bigger pillows. They have a ton of these little pillows. I mean, it even comes with like the little fancy buttons. Looks like it will be really fast to stitch, and then you've got like a fast finish. So they had all the holidays. They had just, I mean, just so much selection with those. So I got those, and then what else did I get while I was there? Oh, I got a ton of floss for like future designs. So I'm not going to show you that. It's just, you know, classic color works, like nothing too spectacular there. And then I got, I had not seen this designer before, but this designer is local to them. It's called Salt and Pepper Stitching. But this designer is on Etsy. So all of these patterns are on Etsy as PDFs. So if you love this pattern, you can get it on her Etsy. Salt and Pepper Stitching. And this is called Best Witches. And I just thought this was so cute. And there were, I restrained myself to one, but there were many patterns by this designer that I wanted. They were really cute, prim and cute. So that's what I got at Pine Needle. And then I went to Craft Center, and I got quite a lot when I was there. So first of all, I can't show you everything I got because they're gifts. Some of these are gifts. But one thing they do there is they have these like these blocks that you can get. So this one is, I'm not going to tell you what's going on here because it's a gift, but you can get these little finishing kits basically, and they had like models where you could see like the types of things you could stitch and finish on these. But it comes with like the perforated paper and the backing, the block, and finishing trim, and it was $8. So I got a couple of these to finish something. Like, I know what I'm going to stitch on them. They had different things. Some of them were original designs to them, and some were, you know, like Prairie Schooler, things like that, that they had made, that they had finished on these blocks. But they had a whole bunch of their own. I know Deb from Snug Harbor Crafts has stitched about a bunch of these and shown them on her channel before, but they have like 4th of July, Christmas, Halloween, you know, like all the holidays. And they're just like these cute little perforated paper kits that you can stitch up really fast, and then just like set them on your counter, and they're just adorable. So that was really cool. I don't know if you can, I don't think you can shop online with them. So I think that's like in store only. So anyway, I walk in, they're super nice, and I don't think they had, I'm sure they had no idea who I am. Sometimes when I go to a cross stitch shop, like they'll be like, oh, I've seen your Flosstube, or someone, you know, will kind of know, like, I do Flosstube, but they must not be Flosstube fans because they like had no idea who I was, which was interesting. But you know, it's always funny when they're like, do you cross stitch? Like, and you're kind of like, yeah, like I know a little bit. But they were so sweet. And I walked in, and they, one of the ladies, was like, hey, go check out this bin. Everything in this bin is half off. And she's like, there's new stuff in there. Cause you know, sometimes the clearance bin, you're kind of expecting like some old designs. And she's like, I just put a bunch of stuff in there. There's some good stuff in there. So I made my way over there quickly, and I got some things. Everything was half off. So I got Stacy Nash Primitives, first Snowfall Pin Keep. I love Stacy Nash. She's another designer that I could stitch probably everything she does. I got Plum Street Samplers, Goodness and Thanks. I love the kind of penny rug border on this one. I got Hello from Liz Matthews, Bittersweet Village. For some reason, I hadn't picked this one up yet, but I do love it. I love the colors on this. And it's actually looks like it's would be a quick stitch. It's about 100 by 100. I got From the Heart Needle Art by Wendy, Token of Love, an original anniversary sampler. I thought this was really cute, and maybe I'll stitch this as an anniversary sampler. Half off, right? And then I hit the jackpot. So they had Nora Corbett Junebug. Now, this was one, every time I see it, I like it a little more. And I knew I was going to get it eventually. So half off, heck yeah. The first time I saw this, I was like, oh my God, the colors. I love that lime green and teal. But I was like, oh, it's kind of big. That looks like it might be kind of annoying to stitch. I don't know. And I didn't buy it right away. But the more I see it, the more I love it. And these actually do stitch up really fast. And when I look at this chart, I'm like, this will stitch up so fast. And for me, Mirabilias and Nora Corbett's are really fun to stitch because you change color enough, but you can also do like blocks of color where you can really get a good rhythm going. But then before you get really bored, it's time to change to another color. And I actually really enjoy stitching Mirabilias. So I was excited about that, but then I saw this and I was like, this is jackpot. So this is Luna Moth by Nora Corbett, and it comes with all of the beads, Krynic and Karen Water Lilies. Now I thought it was fully kitted up, but it's missing one Karen Water Lily. but I think everything else is there. So I guess there's one Karen water lily I need to track down for this, but I love this Luna Moth, kitted up, half price. I paid $18 for that. Not bad, right? Not bad. And then I grabbed one or two other things, but again, I can't show because they're gifts. So yeah, that was all my haul. It felt so good. I hadn't, being on the road, like I can have things shipped ahead or I can have them shipped to a friend. But sometimes it's too much. It's more trouble than it's worth trying to figure it out. So I'm kind of restricted to like running into Michael's for DMC, buying Ada and dyeing it myself because I don't have access to fabric. Just, it was really nice to be able to like go into an LNS and like buy fancy floss, Classic Color Works, and look at fabric. It was nice. It was really nice. So I did buy quite a bit because I hadn't been able to really shop like that in a couple of months. So speaking of like making do when you're on the road, I've always liked to dye my own fabric. I think it's fun. And I found myself needing to do so for the upcoming Dark Queen of the Woods by Autumn Lane Stitchery. It's starting on September 1st. And of course, like I don't have access to fabric. So I got a big piece of 28 count Monaco at Michael's in a white color. And then I bought a bunch of fabric dye and I dyed my fabric for Dark Queen of the Woods. And I'm really happy with how it came out. So here, I just wanted to show you all how that came out. I think this kind of has an effect of like sunlight filtering through a canopy of leaves onto the forest floor. So I'm hoping that when the first part is released and we start to see kind of how this design is going to come together, that my fabric is going to work. I think it'll work. And if it doesn't, I might have to like tweak colors to make it, you know, if things are getting lost on this, I'll tweak the colors, but I'm really happy with how this came out. So this is my fabric for Dark Queen of the Woods. All right, that's all the cross stitch. I'm going to talk about books really quick because I don't have that many. And then I'll be out of here. And it's getting hot. I have to turn off the air when I record because it's so loud. And of course it's warm in Colorado today. So, okay, so what did I read? I read The Summer Job by Lizzie Dent. This is a contemporary romance. I bought this last year at Target. And the reason I bought it was because Emily Henry blurbed it on the back. And I love Emily Henry. I love everything I read by her. And she said, "It's my perfect summer read, sure to be one of the sweetest, funniest, and sexiest books of the year." So I thought, well, if Emily Henry liked it, you know, let me try it out. And this is a debut novel by this author. And I didn't love it, honestly. It started off so cute. It started off strong. So it's like a fish out of water. The protagonist is actually English, and she ends up running away to the Scottish countryside for the summer, and she takes on her friend's identity, and her friend is a sommelier and she is not. But her friend like backs out of a job, and she's like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna pretend to be a sommelier. Like, how hard can it be? And then she ends up like in the Scottish country. Like, so it started off like really cute because you've got this excellent setting. They're talking about wine and delicious food. But that got old pretty quick. So, it was a pretty mediocre read. I can't really recommend it. It was cute and it was pretty funny, but then it got really old. Like, she's a 30-something-year-old woman, but she doesn't have her life together, and and again, it's cute at first and then it gets really old. Like, come on. Like, she makes mistake after mistake, bad decision after bad decision. It felt very like Bridget Jonesy, like, with the, you know, the clumsy, like, gaffes that she's always making. The love interest was interesting too. Like it was kind of this insta love, like it's never really explained, but they're just super attracted to each other. And then and it's also very slow burn. They don't even like touch hands until like 2/3 through the book. So the pacing had some issues. The things the protagonist does just aren't really good things. And then it all kind of wrapped up kind of weirdly too, so whatever. And Emily Henry kind of led me astray on this one, I will say. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't great, and it took me way longer than it should have. I can usually like knock out a rom-com in a couple days. It took me like a couple weeks to read this one because I just wasn't motivated to pick it up and read it. It had potential, it didn't get there. So then I listened to an audiobook. I listened to Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. So Jenny Lawson is started as like a blogger, got kind of internet famous, and then started compiling like all her blog posts into like books basically. So she's been very open about like her severe mental illness, and she has like several different like severe mental illness issues that she writes about frequently. There's a squirrel out there. And then she also had this really crazy childhood upbringing. Like her parents are a little kooky. So she has like these really interesting stories. And I've read a book by her before, and I can't remember exactly which one it was, and really enjoyed it. This one was an audiobook, and I thought I would like it more, but I honestly think maybe I'd prefer to read them myself, because she's a lot to take. And when you're reading the book at your own pace and your own voice, it's not as jarring. I think when you're listening to her tell these stories, it's like it gets a little intense. So anyway, I mean, she's very funny, and it was pretty good. I did like her other book a lot more. This one felt a little bit forced sometimes. Like it felt like she was trying to be like the cute, zany, like quirky manic pixie dream girl sometimes, to where you were like, that didn't really happen, like you didn't really say that. And because she's telling you like, oh, the other day I went to the store and this happened and I said this, and you're like, no, you didn't. Like you just thought this would be a funny like story for your book. Or I don't know, it's just like it just felt forced. It didn't feel quite genuine. Some of it did, but there were parts that I didn't believe. But I didn't feel that way with her other books. So I do think it was kind of just this one. Maybe she's running out of material. I don't know. It was fine. It just wasn't great for me. So then sorry if that shook. Arlo just hit the table. So then I grabbed a Kindle Unlimited book. I read The Never King by Nikki St. Croix. So this is a dark romance, like smut, Kindle Unlimited, like smutty. Really short. I think it's like 187 pages. Like that's not even a book. That's a novella, but whatever. They said it's a book, so whatever. It took me like a day and a half to read. So it's a Peter Pan, like modern retelling. Basically this, it's not Wendy Darling, but it's like a descendant of Wendy Darling. When she turns 18, like Peter Pan comes and kidnaps her and takes her to Neverland, where she's held prisoner with like Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. But then it gets sexy, and it's reverse harem, so she has sex with like all of them. Okay, it's Kindle Unlimited. You can't expect a lot, but this was especially not great, but compulsively readable. So short that you're like, well, that was terrible, but it took me a day to read. Like if it was 800 pages, I would have been like, no, absolutely not. No, but it was less than 200 pages. It read really fast. It was a ride. it wasn't great. I'll read the next one because it was so short and stupid, but very odd. Anyway, like it's odd in this way. You have to suspend disbelief because sometimes like the point of these smutty Kindle Unlimited books is just like to read about the sex, right? So the author doesn't want to give you like 300 pages of like character development and relationship development to get to the sex. So it can sometimes seem a little rushed that, you know, she gets kidnapped and like the next day she's like, yeah, let's get it on. Like, sounds good to me. You're like, I get Stockholm syndrome, but like that usually probably needs a little time to develop. So, don't expect much. I looked at the Goodreads reviews and it's funny because people are like 2 stars, 3 stars, and they're like, it was terrible, but I had a good time. And that's kind of how I felt about it. Like, it was a fun, crazy read, but it's not good. So then I read Tryst 6 Venom by Penelope Douglas, which is also on Kindle Unlimited. I am kind of working my way through the Penelope Douglas books. So she does dark romance, and she does like, not all of her books, but a lot of her books are bully romance. And so Tryst 6 Venom was interesting because it's actually a lesbian romance, and I think it's the only one she's done. Usually she just does like hetero, male, female. But this features 2 seniors in high school. So this was the problem I've had with Penelope Douglas before. It's too icky for me to read about high schoolers having sex. And that's not me being prudish. Like, I know high schoolers have sex. I don't need to read detailed smut about it because I do not want to have sex with a high schooler. And it's freaking gross to me. So it's this weird dynamic of like, she's a good writer. She's a really compelling writer. But I'm like, oh, they're seniors in high school. Ugh. And so that's how I felt about her other book, Punk 57, which a lot of people love. And I think if I was like a college freshman or in high school, I would love it too. But as an adult, I was like, I can't quite get past it. This one I didn't feel was like as icky as Punk 57. But just, you know, just throwing it out there, it does feel, you know, they're 18, but they're in high school, they're seniors, whatever. But it's a bully romance. So these 2 girls are like rivals. They hate each other. They're so mean to each other, but they're like secretly super into each other. So then they hook up and they fall in love and blah, blah, blah. So, it was good, like in that it's good writing and Penelope Douglas has good pacing, good plot. It's just, they're high schoolers. So I do prefer her other books I've read where they are not in high school. Okay. And then I listened to an audiobook of Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman. I just finished this. This was a prequel to Practical Magic. So, Practical Magic came out, 20 years ago, was made into a movie with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock, well-loved book and movie. Many people very much love, the movie Practical Magic. And the book is, a little different, but close enough to the movie. So then years later, she came out with, a prequel called The Rules of Magic, and that featured the ants from Practical Magic when they were children, and into adulthood, and it was set in New York City. And then she came out with Magic Lessons, which went even further back to like Salem witch trial era, and features like an Owen's ancestor. So you do not have to read them in any kind of order. Technically it would go Magic Lessons, Rules of Magic, Practical Magic if you were reading them in chronological order, but they actually were released in reverse order, and you really could read any at any time. Like, you do not have to read them in any kind of order. But Alice Hoffman is a great writer and has this like whimsy and this lyricalness to her writing that I really enjoy. And the audiobooks for Rules of Magic and Magic Lessons were really well done. So I read both of those as audiobooks and very much enjoyed. Highly recommend. they're not like all-time favorites, but they're good, like a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Like, had, you know, very much enjoyed. Really cannot think of any complaints about them, but just, you know, they didn't grab me as like all-time favorites, but very much enjoyed that. So we're ending on a high note. I've read a great book, because I just realized looking back, I didn't really love anything I read recently, and maybe that's why I'm kind of slowing down on my reading right now, because nothing's like grabbed me. So Magic Lessons was great though. Magic Lessons was really good. So that is it. That's all I have for today. I'm going to turn on the AC because it is hot in here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.